This is Navigating Your Taxes 2024 Small Business Owner Edition. So if you're a small business owner, raise your hand. Everybody in the room? Okay. It's a little bit of a more intimate space, which is cool. So everybody, let's go around and network really quick. I'm big about that. So we can start over here. Mama just say hey, let us know who you are.
D. Clark.
All right, that's his mama, okay? Yeah.
Mama.
Okay, that part. She said I had him, so that was it.
I did do, okay?
Go ahead.
Paula Stevens, own a financial services company for 30 years now. Insurance, investments, mortgages, everything like that.
Yes, that's my business mentor, y'all. Yes, Jay.
Hi, my name is Jessie Banks. I'm the owner and CEO of JB's Mobile Tea Room and Lady J's Candle Collection.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. We'll pop over to you, friend.
Ronnie Ortiz, and
All right, Mr. Ortiz, thank you for coming out.
Janet Marsh, owner of Snow Cone City.
All right, Miss Janet, snow cones and mesquite.
My name is Marcus Gibbons. Bring construction with plumbing for Gibbons and Associates.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Marcus. And, oh, 1 second, because y'all actually have it. So, thank you all for coming today. We're gonna get it started. We have some experts on the panel. I'm so excited. I handpicked all of the people who will be speaking today based off of a few different things. Their expertise and their passion, not just for profits, but for people, right? I think that money is good, money is a tool, but you want people who have a heart to serve and help others first. That way you know that what they're doing and what they're saying is not just because it's for the next big buck, but because they really want to see us take a step in the right direction. So we'll get it started with Xavier Clark. I'm gonna let him introduce a little bit more about himself, but he's the owner of Clark's Prestige Financial Solutions, and take it away from there. And there's the camera if you wanna.
Hey.
I'm Xavier Clark, owner and CEO of Clark Prestige Financial Solutions, Clark Prestige Tax Solutions. Man, where did I start? From Arkansas. I've been in Texas for 5 years. It's a passion, not for the money, but a passion to help people. When she said that, that's what it was about. I can remember getting into the tax game and learning how to do taxes while I was in high school. Because one of my parents knew was doing taxes. Like, boy, you good at math, and I love math. Like, so she was like, boy, you good at math, you need to learn how to do taxes. So I'm like, all right, boom. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So and then I was like, well, everybody gonna need their taxes done. I'm gonna learn how to do taxes, get some money, and that was it. My second year of doing taxes, it was like a light bulb popped on. A lady called me shortly after I did her taxes and said she had got her refund. And it was the biggest refund she had. Gas, when I told her number, she was like, well, I ain't never had that much, and all that type of stuff. And then she ended up saying she was pregnant. She had gotten into it with her baby daddy, and he put her out, and she was sleeping in the car. So the money came right on time, in a sense. And at that moment, she was crying. So at that moment, it was like that light bulb clicked on, and she's like, dude, like, this is more than about money. You know, you got into this, you start studying a little bit, and you actually changing people's lives. And so, like, once I realized that I'm in I can help people and really change people's lives, like, everything changed, you know, from my clientele, the mindset, you know, the money went through the roof or whatever, because I tell people, like, with this, the money comes with just comes. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing it from the heart. I'm doing it because I'm a servant at heart, you know, and I want to help, especially people who want to be helped. There's a lot of people that don't want to be helped. You know, you all are here today because obviously you want help. You want to hear some knowledge. You already know some stuff, I'm pretty sure. You know, but it don't help to learn some more. And it can be small nuggets, small gems that we share. And I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm an expert and a student at the same time because I'm constantly learning. You know, I'm constantly, and that's how we're supposed to be. When I stop learning, I stop growing, and I never want to stop growing. And so, yeah, I've been in the game for 8 years, and I call it a game because I honestly look at everything as a game. I used to sell drugs, you know, and the man pulled me to the side. I was going to school for computer science, and I was going to be an engineer because I can deal with computers. And he was like, man, what you doing? Or whatever. You smart, you got the president, you the president of the school. Like, I had some stuff going on, but the streets had it. Well, tried to have it, thank God. He's like, why you doing it? I was like, for money. He's like, what you know about money? I like, get it. You gotta go get it. Go get money. That's how stuff moves with money. And he said one thing that I take with me to this day. He said, you can't play a game you don't know the rules. And that it resonated with me because, like, even to this day, I'm still trying to think of a game that I can play and win efficiently and consistently without knowing the rules to it. And there's nothing. So a lot of times we try to play the financial literacy game, or we try to play the money game, but we don't know the rules to it. We just going by what somebody else told us, or our mom told us, or, and you know, she going off what her mom told us. Her mom going off with her. Back then, you know, they didn't know nothing. So now you just passing down ignorance in a sense. You know, I mean, I call it plain. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times, you know, we just pass down ignorance and we pass down stuff just because somebody else said it was right without doing our proper research on it. You know, and so I took it upon myself to study it, you know, and so I love it, y'all. I'm gonna sit down. That's all.
Yeah.
He shocks me. I would never strike him as a bad boy at all. Okay? I'm normally the bad one, so with somebody else, I'll be like, ooh. Okay. All righty. Thank you so much. And when he said a student, one thing that I love about him, he's always going live on Facebook. Like, y'all, hold on. Y'all talking about these new tax credits. Let me go live with the proof. So he's always somebody. I'm like, can I verify this with you, please? Because he's always researching. So I appreciate that about him. And Miss Laura, she's awesome. With over 20 years of experience in the financial industry, Miss Laura specializes with companies of all sizes in bookkeeping, taxes, payroll, business development, and more. I don't know if you heard her say she had a degree in taxation, but when you love what you do, you have a degree in taxation. Okay, so she is a wealth of knowledge, and I really respect her. So Miss Laura, tell us a little bit about you.
As she said, I've been in this industry for over 20 years, and how I started out, I loved math. My parents had me doing the stock market and things like that, but it was one detrimental term that just made me decide that my passion was going to be representing those who could not represent themselves in the taxes. My dad, at the time I had a child and someone filled out a tax return and put something wrong, and I'll never forget. He went to the IRS by himself and he came back home. He said the IRS wants us all to show up, and I'll sat there and we showed up, and I'll never forget this man kept saying, have our money or you go to jail. And I was like, okay, what is this about? So finally I started looking at the things, and at this time I was in high school. I was taking, I'll never forget, accounting early in the morning at 7:30, and so I started reading and looking, and I realized that someone had put my son on the tax return at that time, but saying a babysitter was babysitting him, and it wasn't. My grandmother did. And so that made the tax return absorbent, and they wanted the funds back. He was able to give the funds back because he had worked, he had businesses. My family's always had businesses, but it was just the way that he talked to him, and I was like, this will never happen. And I began to see it repetitively in my family and others in the community that couldn't read and write good, didn't understand things. And I said, you know, as long as I live, no one would ever take advantage of those that I'm close to. And so not only is it those that I'm close to, but I feel like I have a voice for those who are voiceless in a sense when they don't understand what's going on. You know, it's one thing to read the law, it's another thing to interpret the law and to understand it. So I always want to give people nuggets. I don't care if you ever become a client, at least one day you'll be saying, oh, you know, I heard her say, and this is what it was. So you can remember those things. So it's a pleasure to be here and to share with you and educate.
She's amazing, y'all. There are just some women that you meet, you're just like, oh my gosh, they're so posh, so smart, you know, and she was one of those ladies. And so just any time that I could spend time with Miss Laura, ask her any questions, she's always been there. So I appreciate you for that. And here's me. So a little bit about me and why I do what I do. I'm an award-winning community liaison. I was blessed to be DFW 40 Under 40 recipient last year. I was Miss Curve Texas 2022, and I am a NAACP Community Service Award recipient. So as a community liaison, most people are used to me giving away scholarships, giving away bikes, mentoring the kids. And that was great, but I sat down with one of my political mentors, John Wiley Price, and he was like, the bikes is good, baby girl. We don't care nothing about that. And it just kind of crushed my spirit. I was like, now the bikes was good. The bikes were a hit. He was like, no. He was like, economically, we don't have time to play games about just bikes and stuff. I love what you do for the kids, but that needs to be the cherry on top. That don't need to be the whole Sunday of what you do. He said, because you have so much more that you can do with your platform. And so I was like, well, what should I do? He was like, economically, look around at our community and see where we're at. There's room. You just pick an avenue and go help somebody. And so I didn't know how to incorporate what I was going to do, but I knew that I wanted to help my community get a little bit more financially literate, help them increase their businesses and the growth of our businesses, but I didn't know necessarily how to do that, nor did I have a vehicle. Well, I ended up being at a college and career fair day at West Mesquite, and I saw a lady, and she was so posh and so beautiful, and just not as loud and extra as me, which I was like, okay, I like that. So I'm extra. Let me introduce myself to you. You're quiet, you chill, you know, it'll be a good balance. And that ended up being Ms. Paula Stevens. I had no idea who she was or her credentials and her credibility. So I'm like, maybe we should work together. Maybe, you know, no idea that this woman, she's off the chain. Okay, so when you Google it later on, you're gonna be like, dang, I had no clue. That's how I was. And so, long story short, I partnered with her husband. They have mentored me, and then from there, my financial business, Lit Legacy Financial Group. And so what we do is help with financial literacy. So as a community liaison, we do parent engagement programs just to help people learn the basic financial principles that everybody needs to know. So we do that together, and the reason why we are here is because there is a huge issue for our small business owners. So if you have that second page, now's a good time to get it out, because this is where the note taking and stuff will start happening. Taxes come around depending on who you are or where you are in business, once a month, once a quarter, once a year, right? And as I was doing some research, I found out there were not just me as a small business owner, like, how do I do these taxes? It's a lot of people who have no idea where to start. Some of us have DBAs, some of us have LLCs, then you find out there's S-Corp and all these different things, and it can overwhelm you. And it's actually causing a $496 billion problem for our economy. Excuse me, okay? So there's an estimated $496 billion tax problem as it relates to the tax gap, money that should be coming in, and it's growing, right? And the reason why it's so vast is because the lack of financial literacy, especially when it comes to taxes, how much money should be coming back or getting spent, it's being impacted because small business owners don't know all of the ins and outs. So it's impacting us tremendously. So I want to ask you guys, before we even get into it, $496 billion, that's just a gap because lack of knowledge. Is that something that's shocking to you? I mean, that's a huge number, $496 billion? She's like, no.
It's not for me. And the reason is because I see so many people that have tax debt, not just income taxes, they have payroll, which is called trust fund recovery. That's payroll, they have sales tax issues, use tax, all types of things. People don't do achievements the way that they should for the state. So it is a lot of tax. So I'm not surprised at all, but what I am surprised is by the lack of those that have a business and they're looking for the refund because they think that that is a good thing. When ultimately it is not. So that is where I am surprised about how many people are looking for that refund and they're banking on that refund, and they think that that refund is the best thing that happens every year when it really isn't.
And we'll touch on that a little bit later, but I really like that you said that they're expecting it. I think we're conditioned like, it's refund season, okay? You know what time it is, new baby, bunk beds, all type of stuff that we spend money on, you know? But when you say, okay, that's not supposed to be what happened, it's like, okay, conditioning. Like they said, like from one generation to the other, you start looking for that, not realizing that's wrong. What's your
I definitely think it's not surprising because I know that there's a lot of people out here that's just going on what somebody told them. You know, and most of the time when somebody just tell you something, I was actually a friend asked me about something, a tax question or whatever, and so I was just like, well, let me give you a quote. She said, no, I've been doing my taxes for 8 years by myself. I said, so you don't? And she's like, I'm fine with what I'm getting or whatever. I said, so there are tax professionals because you know, we basically know kind of more than what the normal person would know because we're studying this or whatever. Like, no, I said, so if you was to catch a charge and you know you had all the proof and you know that you didn't do whatever it was, would you go to court by yourself because you know your little laws and you know that you can get out of it, or would you hire a lawyer because they know more than you? And she's like, well, that's different. That's my freedom on the line. I said, how is it different? Like, I just don't get it. You know, so having those conversations and like just seeing like where people's minds at about a lot of things. You know, a lot of people just don't want to grow in the sense that they're content. You know, so like it's really a blessing to be able to see people who want to grow. You know, because there are people out here that don't care to grow. You know, so I definitely commend y'all for coming out tonight. And, you know, I'm grateful to be here to hear some questions and get some knowledge from everybody.
I'm sorry for the ones who didn't come, but I'm gonna ask my questions tonight, okay? I have a 2024 goal. I don't want my taxes and stuff to be raggedy. We going in, we getting some new money. I want everything to be right. So I'm a numbers person. Is anybody else like, let me look at the numbers. Anybody else like that? So let's look at some numbers real quick. 37% of small business owners feel nervous, scared, or just bad about filing taxes. Well, we got a hand in the back. That's me. When they said just feeling bad, because sometimes I'm a new business owner, so I'll be very candid. I'm a new business owner, so I'm like, I mean, how much do I need to report anyway? It's not, you know, I ain't hit the 6-figure mark yet, right? But it's like we gonna have. See, he done already started sweating from that, right? So conversations like that. So I feel a little nervous about it, right? Or I'm starting to get extra money, so it's like, man, I don't want to get my money tied up because it's going good right now. 76% of degreed small business owners, that means they have a degree in something, report that they have never learned or received education on how to file taxes in school. So they went 12 years with education, an extra 4 years, and still never learned about taxes, regardless of what their degree background was. And this is 2 out of every 3. Somebody say 2 out of every 3.
2 out of every 3.
2 out of 3, yes. 2 out of 3 small business owners say they don't fully understand all aspects of the business return, which means they may have a first few pages that they got and everything else we just signing and going.
Right.
We just hoping that it's right, just signing and going, right? And so when I saw these numbers, I'm like, okay, there's a need because 2 out of everything, I'm probably at least 1 of the 3 right here, you know? There's 2 right there, right? So, you know, it's something that we can always just strive to get better on because if you want to be in business a long time, you're going to have this relationship. And like they said, if you don't know the game, how are you supposed to play it, right? You have all these people who make a lot of money, they have a lot of write-offs, they talk about spending a lot, but if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be tracking, it's very hard to get ahead, right? So, quick question. So they're on your paper if you have any notes that you want to write down, but the first one is, how often should a small business owner file their taxes? And it's kind of a 2-part question. Is it based on your business structure or your income? Business structure, that's your guess?
I would say the same.
You would say the same thing? And how often do you think we should file?
I thought you had a choice. You
No,
can
okay.
either do it quarterly or annually.
That's what
That's what I thought.
you said no. You said no.
I started out quarterly, but now I do it annually.
And mine is raggedy. I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent. They raggedy, okay? So I was like, listen, I'm gonna just at the beginning of the year get with my people and put this seminar on so I can figure out how to get where I need to be. Cause I didn't know, and until I had my mentors, it was just me trying to wing this thing. It's a lot of people were like, God, you told me to start this business, I'ma start. And that's all the training we have. So transparency wise, I don't know. So experts. How often should we file? And what is it based on? Your structure, your income?
It's based on go ahead, you wanna go? Okay. It's based upon a couple of things. Number one, if you are a DBA or a LLC, the IRS still looks at you on a LLC as a disregarded entity unless you take an election to be taxed as a corporation, and most people do not do that. But however, you are responsible for filing a tax return every year. Now that's the first one. Now, the reason I say it depends is because if you are selling products like candles, you should be collecting sales tax 8.25%, and you should be remitting it to whatever county, which is going to be Dallas County, and it should be broken down. So as you scale out, they may say file once a year, then they may say every quarter, and then as you grow, they every month on the 20th. So that can be the same thing for plumbing. There can be jobs that you are required to pay sales tax on. There can be items that you may need to pay sales tax on. It depends if you're doing a job and you're getting something shipped to a location. There are nexus sales tax that no one knows about. Those are very complicated, and there's a few of us that we specialize in that. Nexus just says, I need a presence. You don't even have to really be in that state. So Laura Brown can have something shipped there and be selling it, and it represents me and it gives a presence. But then you have your payroll taxes. So you have people that you brought on payroll. Okay, they say pay once a year. Then you file your 940, 941s. But you also have to remit the taxes. But as your payroll begins to scale, the IRS will send you a letter and they will say, now your filing has changed. So now every 2 weeks you must submit your payroll taxes, and it's got to be on a Wednesday or a Sunday, but they will tell you based upon the amount. So that's why I say it always depends. But for the federal tax system that we're talking about today, you want to file once a year. And I always tell clients, whatever you make or whatever you purchase, you want to file, because there is a $5,000 startup. You don't get to choose when you want to take that. It starts when the business starts.
And also, I would say definitely filing is once a year with the federal, but then your payments toward whatever your tax balance is or whatever can break up into quarters or monthly or however you want to do it. So I think that kind of what really boils more down to the discipline. So like when you come, if you know you having this big job that you got, or you shipping these candles or to the whole warehouse or whatever you're doing, if you know you're making this certain amount of money, if you're not disciplined and you know you're not gonna have the money by the time it's time to file taxes, go ahead and pay what you gotta pay what you owe. Because the thing is, whatever job that we're offering, whatever we're doing, whatever I do for somebody, I report it. So whatever job, when I give out money or whatever, if I pay you to do a plumbing job, I'm gonna file it. So the IRS gonna know your name. They're gonna know your company. So I'm going to report it. Why? Because for me it's a write-off. For whatever reason it is. So now it says that I gave you money, or if I bought a bunch load of candles, I bought you money. So they already gonna know what you have when you're dealing with, when you're getting into this realm of business. So it's the discipline that's major. Like with business, like you have to be disciplined, especially with finances.
I'm writing down some notes. I'm taking this in, okay? I don't know if this for y'all or for me at this point, okay? Because I ain't even gonna get into it, y'all. These are the experts. At the end, make sure y'all get their information. The next question was, how important is it to get an expert to help with taxes and bookkeeping? But it's kind of funny because with their answers, they kind of answered why it's important to get an expert. All that stuff they said sounded like a foreign language almost. And so I think sometimes as small business owners, we get caught up in the role of doing it all. Doing it all by ourselves, right? Do it all by yourself. Figure out your taxes, figure out this, figure out that. So how important is it to get an expert to do taxes and bookkeeping? And if you could, just tell us a story about an example, an anonymous name, right, of Susie who decided to not do their taxes with you guys, and then you had to come back and kind of rectify something like that. We all have those stories.
Alright, so first off, it kind of goes back to what I said about if you got in trouble and you know you didn't do it, the lawyer, you gonna go to court and fight it by yourself, or you gonna hire somebody, hire a lawyer. So we obviously, people that study these things know something that you don't, because you're busy making candles or doing plumbing or making snow cone or whatever, and because that's your expertise. I can't tell you how to make a snow cone. Y'all don't know what type of ice to get, right? Plumbing, I know nothing about plumbing, right? I don't know how to make a candle, you know, so everybody specializes and has their own purpose or whatever. So I mean, we study these things. For me, I started doing it more too because I understood, like, when it came down to laws and especially taxes, it's a lot of gibberish. You get what I'm saying? You know, for the normal person, you know, it's saying thou shalt do this or whatever. It's almost like the Bible sometimes, right? You know, so like, and let's be honest, sometimes we don't understand the wording of the Bible. You get what I'm saying? So like, when it comes down to taxes and the laws that's being passed, I found out if I study it and I'm able to bring it to you in layman terms. I don't want to talk to you on a level we can understand. I don't want that IRS talks up here all the time, right? You don't have time to go and figure that out. So I need to get up here and then bring it down to a level that we can understand so that it can make sense to us, right? And I mean, I go by one thing. You don't have to know everything, but just know somebody that knows it. I don't know everything, but I know somebody that knows whatever question somebody called me about or whatever. I don't care what it is, you know, plumbing, whatever. I got people that become with networking. You know, I don't want to go to another sector of it, but yeah, you know. But so like, and it's about building the people that surround you. So I don't know everything. I don't know everything about taxes, you know. But I do have mentors. I do have people that I can call and get answers to. I do know how to research, you know. And so you know, just be connected. I don't know everything, but a story that I had a situation last year. One of my childhood friends, I had been doing his taxes, and he told me I gave him a quote last year, and I was just like, yeah, this about how much you getting or whatever. He was like, man, I think I can get more than that. I was like, all right, well, hey, this is what you can get, man. You know, this is what it is. Let me know what you want me to do. So he came. He ended up going somewhere, filing his taxes. And he came to me about 4 months ago. He was like, man, you know I still ain't got my taxes yet.
Oh, Lord.
You know? And so I do him and his baby mom. So like, she, you know that he carries the child or whatever, you know, so like, they know how the parents do it. They split the money or whatever the case may be. And so when she came to me, she was like, what's going on with his taxes? I said, I don't know. I didn't do it. I don't know. You know, so once I did look at them, I had to go and do an amendment. Which is a 1040X or whatever, to go and fix what somebody else had messed up. You know, and I had a conversation. I'm like, dude, that's why I told you, like, stop trying to go with the highest number. I'm telling you what it is. These folks just want to go try to get your money. I tell people, when it comes down to refunds, anybody can let you see a number that's high. You can get a refund. I can get a refund to $1 million. I can get it. Is they gonna release it? It don't make no sense. I can show you anything. I can show you some stuff. Real quick, get it and submit it. I can show you anything. Say, hey, yo, you got $25,000 coming. Here it is. You'll be sitting there until you get this letter to say, hey, prove this. Right? You know, so like, that's the importance of making sure you're dealing with people who got your best interests at heart. And you know, and even like with bookkeeping and doing taxes or whatever, it's a little bit off topic. But a lot of people say they want to go buy a house or they want this, and the third. But then you get with a preparer that just want to get you the highest amount of money, and now they're not thinking about your goals, what you want to do, right? You know, so like I have questionnaires to say, I'm trying to see what's your goal, what you want to do, because now I need to make sure it makes sense. You may have a business that you can write all this stuff off, but does it make sense to write all this stuff off if you're going to try to go get this loan from the bank? Because now there's $200,000 that you done made, but then you want to write off $75,000, $80,000 worth of expenses. Now this $200,000 now is only $110,000. So now will you be able to qualify for this house that you want, because they're gonna pull your last 2 tax returns? I'm sorry, they got off. I be going on a little rant sometimes. I'm sorry. I digress.
That's good.
I digress.
Because it was a few things that kind of went off in my mind, especially when you said, does your goals align with what you're trying to do? You know, you get people and they can give you some high numbers, right? And then I'm sure he had to pay twice. You didn't want to pay the first time. You paid somebody else that messed it up. So you still had to circle back and get paid anyway. So a few good nuggets. What about you, Ms. Laura?
I would say that it is extremely important to make sure that you're working with a competent bookkeeper, accountant, or whoever. Make sure that if you are using a automated software such as QuickBooks or anything like that, that you have someone to properly set that up. Because one of the things now is, for me, I am working with 2 revenue agents. One is a computer specialist to go back and see, has the QuickBooks file been altered since the tax return has been done? And so that can also go to CIA, which is criminal investigation. But then the revenue agent who is also questioning the items for the business. So there is a pub out there, and I think it's pub 527, about record keeping, your responsibilities. So it's very important to know what your responsibilities are as it comes to record keeping with the IRS, whether it's electronically or paper, all of those things. So it's very important. And like they said, you want to think about what is your long-term goal in your business. Again, is it to grow the business? If you're going to grow the business, you very well can't be that client that just says, oh, 12:31, hey Laura, how you doing? I ain't talked to you all year, but Laura's been emailing you. She's been calling you, haven't heard from you. But 12:31, you know, how's my tax return gonna look this year? I have no idea. I have not talked to you all year long. So I'm one of those people that I keep in touch with my clients. I talk to them, I check in, even if nothing hasn't changed. At least we know that nothing has changed. If something has changed and you have 1040 estimated tax payments that you need to make, and let's say the income has gone down, so now we need to adjust those estimates. Or if the income has went up, we need to adjust it. We need to put a plan together about you paying your taxes. There are penalties for paying early and for not paying the complete tax payments that you need to pay. So there are penalties for those things. There's a lot of penalties that are out here. So those are the things that we need to make sure that we're being diligent and saying that when someone comes knocking on the door, but hopefully they won't, that we are in no way trying to avoid, not pay, or all of those things. Because the first thing that they look at is, this is our money and you're spending it. They don't care about you gotta pay your rent. I've had an agent tell the lady, we don't care, that was our money. You needed to pay us first. So you can get some hard knocks. Some of these people have been with the IRS for 30 and 40 years and they are no nonsense. They've seen everything under the sun. Be careful what you post out there on social media, those type of things. So it's just, you know, very important that you work with someone on the bookkeeping and all of those type of things so that your life and everything is in order.
Those feelings of anxiousness, worry, and feeling just bad. They all kind of came back to me when she was talking about
I
all
don't
these
want
things.
you all to ever be afraid.
When she
but
said IRS and CIA,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, them was the letters you don't fool with, okay? You don't fool with none of them letters, okay?
just be cautious. It's not to scare you, but it's to educate you and let you know.
But it's serious
Yeah,
stuff,
it
you
is.
know, and sometimes we take it light because we're small business owners, but we're still business owners, and there's a responsibility that we have to have because you're gonna have to talk to an agent or you're gonna have to talk to a specialist. Because one thing that you said was like, and if somebody doesn't talk to you all year, I think we should get better at that too. We don't really have these advisors and stuff. I didn't know a lot of people who had financial advisors and tax advisors growing up. And I think that's one of the things, just kind of getting more of those people around us who know proficiently about money, about the rules. So that was really, really good. Okay. BOI.
Boy.
Boy, stop. Okay, my husband, he's so crazy, right? Because I was like, listen, what is this? So, has anybody heard it, seen it,
yes.
anything? No?
Yes.
Anybody get their information from TikTok? TikTok, right? That's where we learn all of our money information, right? That's how I became an expert. TikTok taught me, right? So, the BOR, boy, I don't know what it's called, right? But this is a new, let me just read what it says. Many businesses identified as reporting companies, primary LLCs, S corporations, and C corporations, will have additional reporting requirements starting in 2024 under the Corporate Transparency Act. This mandate from the U.S. Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. They sound for real, don't they? Like they've been cracked down. Is intended to help prevent and combat money laundering activities by requiring some businesses to report their beneficial ownership information, or BOI. Help us with that. Do we have to provide the document? What is that? We ain't getting in trouble. Tell us what's going on.
So just a little background. That's FinCEN. FinCEN started out because people were going to foreign countries and hiding their money. So then they brought the Transparency Act and they started working with other countries to report who has offshore bank accounts. So now they've decided to open that up with the BOIA as well. But there are a lot of requirements of who needs to file, and I will say for me right now that on my clients, we are not filing until the end of this year. But until we know more, there are lawsuits that have been brought up about this. There are groups that are contending this, that are saying that they shouldn't have to file. So anytime you see certain laws come up, I would advise you strongly, just don't run out there and start filling out paperwork and just start reporting things. Make sure, because there's laws that could be out there. Just to give you an instance, like at one point there was a law where everyone had to have a PEDN. You had to pay $69, and then people started suing them. They wanted preparers to take a test if they didn't fall in certain categories, so then they started suing them. So it's always something that's going to be. But the gist of it is, if you have an LLC, they want to know who is the owner of this LLC, and they want to have all your information out there. That is exactly what it is. And if you do not file by the deadline that they're giving you, then it's a fine per day. But right now, it's still new. We're still trying to find out. We're still trying to see. There's so many seminars that I'm sitting in all the time on it, because there's new things that are coming up. There's changes that are being asked of the government. So it is real. Yeah, we have a lot of people that have went out there as soon as day one has opened up and has went out there and they have filed and everything. So it's just asking your general information about your business, and everything must match. So wherever you register the business at your address, it has to match, because it's looking to match the name, everything that's been reported to the IRS. So people are figuring out they can't go through with it because it gives them a red warning sign saying something doesn't match, and they're trying to figure out what didn't match. So when you do get ready to file, have all your documents and make sure that you're filing exactly what you put to the state, exactly what you put to the IRS.
And I've looked at, kind of went through it a little bit, and then I know the pre-existing LLC owners, we have until the end of 2024. For anybody that had an LLC January 1st of 2024, I think they give 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. It's 30 days for the new people to do LLC, but everybody else, all existing, have until the end. And then if it's 25% or more of the LLC. And what I got from it, I kind of do a lot of reading, and like you said, whenever you see something that just is thrown out the blue, it's some stuff behind it. First off, there's a reason, there's something behind it, but then it's also always gonna be some people fighting against it. looking at the Constitution, how it don't line up with this, and there's a lot that goes on. So you don't jump on the first thing that you see smoking. You know, just make sure you do your due diligence on, you know, study it yourself or getting somebody that do know it. And I told somebody the other day, the IRS and taxes is one business that you can definitely get in a whole lot of trouble for something you didn't know. You know, I didn't know that does not fly. Yeah, it does not fly. You didn't know that, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? So it's serious to be able to know when you get to dealing with these type of things. You know, I got somebody back in Arkansas that did the PPP and got a letter that said they owe a certain amount of money because you got your tax return that you filed and you told them you made all this money with payroll, so why you didn't file it? Oh, you owe us a couple $100,000. You get what I'm saying? You know, and that's just the way stuff go. I mean, when people thinking, and then even though the pandemic, one thing I tell people when it come down to this tax stuff, for sure, if they ain't caught yet, they gonna catch you. If it ain't came in a year, in 2 years, 3 years, they coming. It's coming, you know. So just have your stuff together. If you did, ask God for forgiveness, whatever you gotta do. But they coming. That's one thing about it. They don't play, y'all.
You gonna need more than that though. Yeah.
I didn't mention that.
Lord, I'm sorry. You're gonna be like, it's all good, but you in this now, you know. So, okay, that was good because I wanted to clarify on it. I didn't know, but it was something that was new that kept popping up when I was doing research. I'm like, okay, let me just add this. So, our favorite part, right? What can we write off? What can we write off, right? But conditioning. Yeah, they like, no, we just told her it ain't about that. I'm working, unlearning, right? But, so what are some like overlooked 2024 tax deductions that small business owners can take advantage of though?
Go ahead.
Zoom.
Yeah, it's software. It is.
We got some.
Yeah, it's business because it is software. So I live so even like this year, like when I said something about the houses and stuff like that, I'm planning on buying land and houses and stuff like that. So honestly, I don't plan on writing a whole lot. Honestly, I'm actually now getting into the tax planning, how to be able to have the money and put it in certain vehicles so that it's not taxed and stuff like that. I'm going on a different journey, but I live my life that basically everything I do, I make it about business. I mean, I'm from going out to eat. If I go out to eat, I'm leaving the card on the table. I'm talking to the waitress about the business. Do you need your credit fixed? You doing your taxes? Anything that I do, you know, I'm making it about business because like one thing for this not necessarily just for taxes, but for as business as a whole. Like, so I don't work for anybody else. I quit my job at 28. You know, and a little backstory. I prayed when I started this. In a sense, I said by the age of 30, I won't be working for anyone, and I won't. By the age of 30, I won't be working for anyone, and I'll be making over 6 figures. I quit my job at 28. I hit my first 6 figures at 29, and you know that came from manifestation for one, but for two, it came with hard work and consistency. It came with being serious about what I'm doing. So when I say everything is about business, like I got shirts, paraphernalia, everything. I'd rather wear my stuff than Gucci and anything. I don't care because I got Mr. Credit Card on one of my shirts. You know, with somebody, hey, what's Mr. Credit Card? So I got over $100,000 in credit cards, and I'll show you how to leverage them and put your money over here. You know, so now that strikes conversation or whatever. So like whatever y'all doing, like just be serious and be intentional about winning and about making it to where you want to make it. Be intentional on whatever step that you do. So I'm intentional on whatever I do, whatever I purchase, or whatever. I know that, okay, I can write this off this way, or whatever the case may be. So like, that's from going out to eat. I need clothes. I'm at this out the kids section, y'all. But hey, it can be written off. It ain't too much. This ain't a $300-400 suit.
It's nice. It's nice.
You know,
Hey, you put it together. You put it together.
I think this is the only man thing I got on. I'm out the man section. Everything else out the kids section. You know, and so, but I need this is business. I'm here handling business.
Are clothes still a write-off?
only if your logo is on there. If I can wear this to anywhere else, this is not a write-off.
Okay, let me know
If
so.
there is a court case, even with those in the military who have certain uniforms, their whites are the only thing that I can write off when I do the military tax, when I volunteer over there with military families, as being a military person.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like to tell people, the number one rule with the IRS is ordinary and necessary. Is it ordinary in your line of work, and is it necessary? If I go and I take Billy Bob, we go to lunch 3 times a week. Who, what, when, where? Yes, but it can't be the same thing all the time. So it's going to have to be something different, that we're talking about a line of business that we intend on doing something different, getting something different, unless that is an employee. Now, that is one thing that I see overlooked when you have employees versus you're going out to dinner with other people. The employees is 100%, others is only 50%, and entertainment no longer counts at all. So that if you're going to the basketball game or any type of entertainment, you cannot write that off. So that's what I mostly tell people. Make sure it's ordinary and necessary. Just because people say, oh, I wrote this up, no, that does not make sense. Because I tell my funeral home person, why are you going out to eat with families all the time? So you went out every night. Did everybody buy a policy? What was y'all talking about? So yeah, it's gotta be ordinary and necessary. If I'm taking, when I host a luncheon for my clients, that's appreciation. So that can be written off.
But not entertainment like the basketball game.
Not entertainment, that has been out the door. Yes.
Marcus, why they wanna cut us off when we start doing business? Now we get in business, they don't wanna pay for entertainment no more. That's not cutting this no more, okay? We get started like before they even get excited.
Yeah, so that's just my most overlooked ones, but yeah.
And so, I'ma have, Zay kinda hit on this earlier, common mistakes when it comes to taxes. But if you could put that into like what forms are and are not needed for 2024, and then I want you, Zay, to clear up the difference between contractors and employees.
I'm not gonna say what forms are and aren't, because your filing status is different. You may need to put a Schedule E, a D. I mean, you may, who knows? I may have a farm in Arkansas that's a F. So it may take that, even though, I'm a business. I have a trucking company as one of my businesses. I have another business. We have Airbnbs, which we've turned them into corporate housing. So it just depends on what is going on in your life. I have children that go to college, so I can't say that their books and different things are not needed on that form, because I have a child going to med school. So hey, so it just depends. So I want to tell everyone, the main thing I would say is, think about it as going to the doctor. If you go to a doctor and he gives you medicine before he's diagnosed and heard your complaints, that is a red flag. You need to go to the doctor, tell him what's wrong, then he will diagnose you and then give the medicine. So it's the same thing. When you talk to me, I'm gonna get a lot of information about you, what's going on. You could have kids, not have kids. Do you own a home, not own a home? Do you have another business that you could possibly be a partnership? We're waiting on a K-1 then. You can't file your return without the K-1 if you're a partnership. So it's a lot of things.
So nothing is cookie cutter.
Yeah, nothing is cookie cutter. Unless you're just a college student out here and you're working and your parents are claiming you and you're just gonna do a 1040 easy, but your parents still need to be on the box saying that you're their dependent. But it's not cookie cutter.
I think that's what I'm learning most from the session. Like, it's all based on each individual person and their business.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Zay, can you clear up the difference between contractors and employees? How do you handle that? I mean, we know the difference, but
It basically boils down to the structure of the business, you know, so like, that's the LLCs, the corp, S corp, C corp. You know, as an LLC, is everybody here LLCs? Everybody pretty much LLC? So, I mean, you basically can have employees. Like, you have people that do work for you and you may pay them, but because you have to pay, taxes, you're not paying Medicare taxes and all that type of stuff, so of course. So everybody pretty much will have people that they work with and they pay them out of their pocket or whatever. I've seen, I think one of the, I wouldn't say craziest thing, but I mean, people that try to study this or whatever, it's like, hey, I'm an LLC and I'm gonna start paying myself or whatever. And I'm like, it really don't make sense because once you get the Schedule C and you basically, you file a 1040. So you have the right to have Schedule C for your business, and then in the box where it say contract rate, you're gonna put the income, but then you're gonna put the income on your person. Like it equals out to the same thing, you know. So like there's no benefits in that or whatever. So you have to change the structure of the business, which is what we were talking about earlier. Whether it's an LLC, S corp, or C corp. Employees is somebody that work for you, and that's what pay the taxes for that employee or whatever. And that's where payroll taxes and stuff like that come in. But as an LLC, I mean, we ain't got no employees. I got partners. You know, I self-contractors. I send you a 1099. You know.
I'm learning. So we have no employees. Okay, I learned that today. Okay.
So at any point, can we ask questions? It's gonna be at the end?
Yes, ma'am. We have a at the end Q&A session.
Okay.
Well, Miss Jen, go ahead and ask your question if you want to.
Cause I might forget, well, I've been writing a few stuff.
Miss Jen, go ask your question. Can I get a time check real quick? Time check.
It's 803.
803.
Go ahead, Miss Jen. You can ask her question.
So, okay, from what my understanding was